Hi, this is Robert Henry. Welcome to On Camera with Robert Henry. Today's guest, Deborah Klein. She is a dietitian. She's an author. She's written a book called The 200 Superfoods That Will Save Your Life. We're going to talk about her book and other topics. We're going to talk about how to live younger longer, and especially with an emphasis on eating, how you can eat to do that, and a few other things too. Deborah holds a bachelor's degree in dietetics from the University of California. She's got her Master of Science in Food and Nutrition from Cal Poly Pomona. She did that with an emphasis in sports nutrition. That's an interesting topic as well. She's a registered dietitian, and she's a PhD candidate. I believe she's doing some studies in mind-body medicine, so
Yes.
we'll talk about that. She's contributed to various news outlets, websites, and publications. Deborah, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Robert, for having me.
It's great to have you.
Great way to end the year.
It is. You know, as we sit here, it happens to be New Year's Eve. We're on the verge of a new year, 2018. So it's a good time to be addressing maybe some changes that you might want to make in your diet, some tweaking you might want to do to achieve a higher level of wellness. And Deb's certainly one of the prime people to have here today to talk about that.
Thank you, Robert.
Deborah, you call yourself a Livitician.
Yes.
You're a dietitian, but you call yourself a Livitician. Tell us about that.
When I became a registered dietitian back in 1994, I didn't like the root word die. I don't want to help people die. I want to help people live. So I call myself a Livitician. I do livits instead of diets. So I got it registered. I am the only Livitician in the world.
I noticed in some of your literature that you say you like to help people flourish.
Yes.
Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
Just to help people be the best person they can be, to help you fulfill your potential. And you want to, because there's been such a bad misconception about eating. They think that they have to deprive themselves, and diet is people think, oh, I have to eat my last meal before I come see you, Deborah. And that's not the case. So to flourish is to become the best you can be and help you live younger longer, our topic of focus.
And a diet, you've written this, a diet is usually something that tells you what you cannot eat.
Yes.
But you approach things from the point of view of what you can eat.
Absolutely.
And you offer a pretty broad spectrum of foods that people can eat in balance and so forth. So we'll get into that. Inflammation is a big topic in medicine, in health and fitness.
Absolutely.
It's been related to a lot of illnesses and conditions. Diet, there's a link between diet and inflammation.
Yes.
Tell us about that link, and then we'll get into it.
So inflammation is correlated with every single disease state out there. Alzheimer's, dementia, diabetes, heart disease, dementia, our brain and our heart and cancer, it's all related to inflammation. So how do we reduce our inflammation? It has to do with diet, because there's our actual foods and herbs that are anti-inflammatory. So it's very exciting. We can take charge of our health and prevent that inflammatory response that has been. Have you heard of C-reactive protein?
Yes.
CRP.
That's a blood test component that you
Exactly. That's the best way to get a measurement of if you're inflamed or not. It's a blood test, and you ask your physician to get you a CRP test. You really want to know what that is. Less than 1.0 is key, and you want to assess, am I inflamed or not? So it's on a vascular level if you have inflammation. And obviously inflammatory response is important for healing. We need to, if we got a cut. But it's not a healthy response when it comes to vascular health. And so it's exciting that we can reduce our inflammation with sufficient sleep too. You can help prevent Alzheimer's, dementia with a 20-minute power nap, and that reduces inflammation. White tea specifically is lower in caffeine than green, and it's higher in antioxidants because it's less processed than green tea. So white tea specifically is anti-inflammatory. Pomegranates, oranges, papaya, garlic, onions, black beans, my favorite food on earth, the healthiest food on earth, is actually anti-inflammatory.
Well, you contributed to my ebook, which is called Age Redefined. Deb contributed to the nutrition content of that ebook, And Chuck, there's a visual right there. Okay.
Thanks, Chuck.
There's the cover. It's my book is only available in an electronic form, ebook. But Deb contributed to that ebook, and in that
It's my pleasure to do that.
Thank you. And in that ebook, I wrote that, and this is based on my research at the time, that some foods are pro-inflammatory, some foods are anti-inflammatory. The body needs some inflammatory response to address, an injury,
a wound. Yes.
But that Western diets, and I think more specifically American diets,
the SAD diet.
Yeah.
Standard American diet.
Standard American diet is out of balance in terms of too many pro-inflammatory foods that help to trigger or support an inflammatory response when the body doesn't need to have an inflammatory response or it puts the body into a state of chronic inflammation. So there's foods that are anti-inflammatory, but the Western diet tends to focus more on foods that are pro-inflammatory. Can you give us some food groups, general food categories of pro-inflammatory and anti-inflammatory food groups?
Yes. So first talking about our protein foods. So certain protein foods are very inflammatory. The most inflammatory food on earth is red meat. But in moderation, it's okay. I'm for red meat in moderation once a week, once every 2 weeks, because it's a phenomenal source of heme iron, that animal-based iron. But it is the most inflammatory food. So people definitely have too much saturated fat. Saturated fat is inflammatory. Fried foods are inflammatory. Sugar, too high of sugary foods, is inflammatory. So the basic premise to help reduce inflammation is to eat a more vegetarian-based diet. So every single disease state out there, how do you help prevent it? It's correlated with reducing inflammation, is eating a more vegetarian-based diet. So fish, for protein foods specifically, fish is anti-inflammatory. Whereas poultry can be inflammatory, cheese, some dairy can be inflammatory, and eggs that aren't omega-3 sourced eggs. You want to get the omega-3 diet. The chickens were fed omega-3 food. That is anti-inflammatory, but regular eggs can be inflammatory too. So basically eating more beans, as I said, more vegetarian-based diet, more green leafy vegetables is anti-inflammatory. Tomatoes, specifically tomato paste, is high in lycopene. That is very anti-inflammatory, correlated with reducing risk for cancer or heart disease. And so just eating more, the high fiber-based fruits. So blackberries, blueberries are the most power antioxidant food out there. That is anti-inflammatory.
Well, now your book has something like 150 recipes in it,
yes.
too.
Yeah,
so,
you're right on. Yes. You know my book. Wow.
So it mentions 200 specific foods.
Yes.
But it also offers 150 recipes. And for those of us who might be a little bit cooking challenged, such as myself.
They're all quick and easy.
They're quick and easy. And also just knowing which foods are better for you can help you even when should you be out eating as well.
Yes, absolutely.
And we have the good fortune in Los Angeles of having a lot of healthy
organic
places. To eat and even to buy food here in LA. But people should seek out their food sources are important too. You just mentioned organic.
Yes, organic is so important. The pesticides specifically act like xenoestrogens, obesogens, that make us store more body fat. So bottom line, to reduce inflammation in our body, we also want to have a lower body fat just to be more overall healthier. So you have more oxygenation. That's key for your strength and for your health or well-being. So you're phenomenal at that.
Thank you.
Reducing body fat. So that is an aspect definitely that we want to address for sure, is the pesticides. Getting the chemicals out of our life. I'm very anti-diet. When the word diet is on a food, don't allow it into your body. I'd much rather you have a little bit of sugar, organic, than a diet cookie. Like I'd rather you have an organic vegan cookie, chocolate chip cookie from like Real Food Daily or something, versus a diet cookie.
Let's talk about processed meats and refined carbohydrates, just to get people. Now, those are in general bad for you.
Yes.
And should be eaten in very small amounts.
Try to stay away.
Or stay away. But let's give people
clear.
An idea what that means.
Yes.
You hear the phrase refined carbohydrate, processed meats, in case people aren't really sure what that means.
Okay, so refined carbohydrates, let's address that first, is white carbs, basically. So very processed. I mean, especially when you look at bread, enriched flour is the first ingredient that is highly processed, highly refined bread. You would think it sounds better, right? Enriched flour?
Right.
That sounds like it's better, but it's not. It's very refined. You want the whole grain, organic bread. Sprouted grain bread would be the best. So basically, but you don't want to have white carbs in general, but like a yam is better. A sweet potato is very high in anti-inflammatory antioxidants that you want to have rather than a white potato. You also, because white potatoes specifically are inflammatory. Mm-hmm. And French fries, obviously, are very inflammatory. You have double whammy. It's the white and you have the fried. So that's very inflammatory. So refined carbohydrates, but say you're at a friend's house for Christmas, for New Year's Eve tonight,
right.
and all they have there are white carbs. All you have is a white rice. You can have it. The way you counteract it is having tons of vegetables, and you have a protein. Have whatever they have, like fish or chicken.
Would a healthy fat like an avocado or something, would that help?
Counteract it? No, that's a great question.
Okay.
The way to help counteract white carbs is high fiber.
Okay.
And protein.
Okay.
And avocado is just a fat source.
Yeah. Would a healthy fat like avocado help blunt a sugary
inflammatory response? And fat, yes. Fat helps slow the absorption of sugar.
Okay.
So absolutely, fat will help slow the sugar.
Yeah.
But your best friend for Chuck, talking about keeping our sugar levels stabilized, that's an area that he likes to focus on. The fiber is our best friend, and low-fat protein to keep our sugar levels stabilized. So fat, yes. If you're having white rice, though, and an avocado, the fat will slow the absorption of the sugar, but it's not going to counteract the white part. The white part, we want high fiber. So lots of green leafy vegetables with a little avocado and some protein.
So in general, and by the way, Chuck of Security Guy TV, Security Guy Radio is here in the studio with us.
Yes. Hi, Chuck. Thanks for making it all happen.
And we're very happy to be hosted by him here today. In general, a refined carbohydrate is something that is further
quickly absorbed.
Yes, but because it has low fiber, for example.
Exactly.
But the further removed you are from the natural state of the food, like
yes.
as it grows in the ground or whatever.
Very well said.
The further you're removed from that natural state of the food, the more refined it is.
Absolutely.
Like
perfectly said.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's kind of a guide for you. I mean,
whole grain. You want the wheat germ still present.
Yeah.
That's going to be like how it is in the fields. That's going to be less refined. That's going to be more healthful for you and reducing your inflammation. And the other component you talked about was processed meats.
Processed meats.
So that would be like bacon, right? Smoked meats. That's really highly processed, which is very high in nitrites. Bacon or sausage that's high in nitrites that are hot dogs. That's the most typical processed meat would be a hot dog. That is highly carcinogenic because of the nitrites that are present, but you can get no nitrite hot dogs,
okay.
which are better, that are kosher, but a processed meat, that would be an example. So it's more processed it's going to be less nutritious for us. There's going to be more additives.
Also,
and higher in fat.
Lunch meat.
Yes.
It's also a processed.
Perfect example.
I sometimes I'm offered lunch meat as an option, and in some other work I do where meals are provided to us, and I generally try to stay away from it.
Good choice.
Yeah.
But you can get the nitrite-free turkey
okay.
now.
Okay.
Oven roasted.
Okay.
Even organic. That would be okay.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's good.
But it's ideal to get, the fresh turkey breast. But again, remember, chicken is a little bit more inflammatory than our beans and fish. So you want to have it at one meal. So if you're eating, that's a good rule of thumb that I have in my book, is to have one meal meat. If you're going to do chicken at lunch or turkey at lunch, try to go vegetarian at dinner. That's a good overall guideline.
Getting back to inflammation and some of the diseases that are caused by it, I wanted to also mention arthritis.
Which is inflammation.
There's a number of other ones. Stroke, I don't know if you mentioned that.
Yes,
but there's a list of many
itises.
Yeah,
it's straight up inflammation.
Right, it's inflammation. I mention this because someone I know has developed arthritis, and I even said to him, has anybody said to you, he lives in the Midwest, and I said, has anybody suggested an anti-inflammatory diet to you? And so I sent him, some.
Send him my handout that I gave you.
I will, but I sent him some ideas on some links to some websites, and I'm sure I mentioned your book as well. But I don't know that he's taken any action on that. But part of this is you have to be proactive too.
Yes, but you're right. That's one of what I had said: heart disease, cancer, Alzheimer's, dementia, arthritis,
yes,
fibromyalgia,
yes,
stroke. All those are correlated with inflammation. So how do you reduce inflammation? That's what we want to focus on. That will help that your friend with arthritis. Absolutely.
So there's a dietary component to wellness and to fighting inflation, to
inflammation, and hydration,
to having a proper balance in your body, and that's what we've talked about so far. We've given some examples of foods and food groups to either avoid or to go ahead and eat more of. I thought I might comment that I think that there are four basic pillars of wellness. It could actually be talked about even more broadly than that. But I think that nutrition, exercise, adequate sleep, and your mental state, your state of mind, are four pillars.
Absolutely, you're right on.
And as we get into the new year, we should consider addressing each one of those.
Great idea.
Talk to me a little bit about, from a nutritionist point of view and dietitian's point of view. I can talk about exercise, but I'd like to hear from your point of view how exercise ties into live younger, longer, and can go hand in hand with a good diet.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. Exercise is critical. We cannot achieve optimal health with nutrition alone. It's essential to address those other three pillars that you just mentioned, is to exercise. Exercise, I emphasize every single nutrition session that I have with a patient or with a resident at my long-term care facility. Exercise is critical because we want to have more muscle mass, because as we age, we lose a pound of muscle mass every year, as you know. And we can help prevent that from happening by doing the weightlifting. So basically how exercise benefits us is lowers our sugar level, which reduces inflammation. It lowers our body fat, which reduces inflammation. It oxygenates our body, which overall makes us a stronger being, which will help us, all our organs work more effectively, and our blood flow, which helps reduce inflammation. So it's absolutely correlated. So bottom line, to be healthy, to be leaner, so our living younger, longer focus is the core to live younger, longer is to be lean.
Yes.
And the way you achieve leanness is proper nutrition and exercise. So I really emphasize the cardiovascular 5 to 6 days a week, at least 30 minutes. And then the weightlifting is my best friend. If I have no time to do anything, I focus on the weightlifting.
Well, it also helps resistance training or weightlifting. Also helps with bone density and bone health, among a whole bunch of other things.
And makes our physical body more of a calorie burner.
Yes.
So we'll be leaner by achieving that.
How about adequate sleep? I know that it helps with hormonal balance and other things. Tell us what from your point of view about sleep.
So having a minimum, what's recommended is 7 hours of sleep a night. This is an area that I need to work on for 2018. I definitely am not getting enough sleep. So sleep is specifically correlated with reducing inflammation. So having adequate sleep reduces inflammation. And if we get less than 7 hours of sleep, we're going to have more of the ghrelin hormone hanging out. And ghrelin is a hormone that makes us hungrier. Mm-hmm. Doesn't it sound like an animal? Ghrelin. It sounds like a beast. It's the hormone that is secreted more when we get insufficient sleep. So sleep is critical for just to be more alert and have a more joyous life and to be more true to ourselves. We need adequate sleep to be safer and it was specifically reduces inflammation, and it will help you live younger, longer.
I think I've also heard that hormone referred to as the appetite hormone.
It's an appetite stimulant.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Makes us hungrier.
And now the state of mind, one aspect that I'll mention is self-talk.
Yes.
Your inner voice, your inner talking with yourself, so to speak. Telling yourself you're too old, which happens to be something I address in Age Redefined, but telling yourself you're too old, telling yourself it's too late to start, any kind of negative talking that you're talking yourself down is is not going to help you.
Yes.
So talk a little bit about, from your point of view as a dietitian who has a practice, you have patients, you have clients. Tell us about the mental part of it.
It's so wonderful you're bringing this up. It is critical to address, and you're a phenomenal role model for this topic.
Thank you, Deb.
You're an inspiration. I mean, do you want to even say your age? You just look so young and amazing. Like, really, it's phenomenal. You definitely walk your talk.
Thank you. I wrote Age Redefined when I was 56. I'm now 61. And
look so youthful.
Thank you. And I'm blessed, but I'm also proactive. And diet, as I mentioned, the 4 pillars. But thanks.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm 61, so it's not too late.
Exactly.
To start,
And so self-talk, especially going into the new year for 2018, this has been my mantra, to have inspiration and positivity around you. So it's really important. It's part of, I talk about detoxification with diet and detoxification with exercise because it's cleansing us. We're perspiring, we're detoxifying. And getting rid of fried foods and getting rid of those white refined carbs that we were talking about, getting rid of artificial sweeteners, try to get rid of pesticides, red number 10 and yellow number 5, all those artificial colors. That's part of detoxifying. And you also addressing the mind is essential for detoxifying, for you to be a more optimal well-being in choosing your friends, detoxifying friends that are drainers. I call them drainers versus fountains in your life. That's part of your healing. It's part of having a healthy mindset and having a more productive life.
Well, even cognitive function, just ordinary mental function of knowing where you are, knowing what's going on, and being able to read and comprehend and so forth, just a cognitive function can be affected by diet and exercise.
And our thoughts.
Yeah.
And sleep.
Yeah, right. There's many levels at which you can benefit from exercise and from good nutrition.
Yes.
Health, living longer, living a higher quality of life. Let's maybe give us just a handful of your
superfoods?
Favorite superfoods.
Okay. Will do. So as you said, Robert, that I am the author of the 200 Superfoods That Will Save Your Life. It's published by McGraw-Hill. And there are it's pretty exciting that we can take charge of our health to eat certain foods that will make us live younger longer. Right there, that's really exciting that we have that ability to take charge and be proactive. That you can actually help regress tumors, they found, tumor regression. There's a wonderful book out by Dr. David Heber, What Color is Your Diet? It shows superfoods, as in my book, can help regress tumors even.
Yes.
I mean, it's phenomenal the impact we can make. So my top favorite superfoods is number 1 would be black beans, as I mentioned earlier. It's the healthiest food on earth. And these whole paleontologists and Paleolithic diet are saying you can't eat beans. It's absolutely atrocious. As I said, I've been a dietitian since '94. The diet philosophy is more warped now than it ever has been. So beans are the healthiest food because they supply you with antioxidants to help prevent cell damage, key to living younger longer.
Okay.
And it supplies you with fiber, key for detoxifying, and it supplies you with vegetarian protein, which is the best protein for anti-inflammatory, to get a vegetarian protein source. But you do want to combine with your beans to make a complete protein. Protein is a chain of amino acids. You need all those essential amino acids present to have a functional protein. So beans with nuts, beans with seeds. So if you're making an organic salad with some black beans and put a little bit of sunflower seeds on there or pine nuts on there, that will make a complete protein easily. And for you, Chuck, too, for the sugar level, you won't have to double carb if you have the beans with the nuts and seeds to get a complete protein, because beans and grains are also a complete protein. But that would be double carbing. So another superfood would be artichokes. Artichokes are phenomenal. They're anti-inflammatory. They're high in fiber. Of course, you only want to buy organic. And they are a great source of protein. 10 grams of protein for 1 medium artichoke. That's fantastic.
Really? Yeah.
And it supplies you with 16 grams of fiber.
Yeah, they look like they're just looking at them, they look high fiber.
Very filling, very satisfying. Yeah. And they're great to have with a little hummus, Israeli spread, or with a little bit of organic mayo. But it is healthier to dip it in hummus.
Okay.
To do it the Israeli way. And the other superfood would be salmon. of course, salmon. But again, this is a whole talk too, whether it be farm raised,
Right.
Alaskan, wild. Of course, I'd rather do wild.
Yes.
But there is some farm raised out there that are very healthy.
Okay.
That, we don't have to worry about the mercury that's in the waters too.
Okay.
We have to worry about everything now. So we don't want to worry. That's not
Yeah,
good for our
that's
health.
not good.
So worry, what's that? As my grandma said, that's not a word. Anyway, so then the other superfood to end it with would be the hemp seeds. Organic shelled hemp seeds are phenomenal. They're
Yes.
a vegan protein, a complete protein by themselves, and they're anti-inflammatory. And they're easy to use. You just put it in your cereal. I put it in my organic oatmeal in the morning to get
There you
my
go.
protein taken care of. Done. You just stir it
Okay.
in the oatmeal. You're done. You've got a balanced meal. And then you could put it in your smoothie. You could put it on your salad. People put it in their pasta, in their marinara sauce. They put it in your soup. You've got a balanced meal with some nice veggie soup that has some barley in it. You've got your carbs from the barley, and then you've got your hemp seeds for the protein. So it's easy to use, and it contributes to anti-inflammatory.
So it can prevent, reverse, even many of these conditions that, unfortunately, a lot of Americans are dealing with these days, because a lot of the illness and disease that exists in America currently, it can be addressed by lifestyle.
Yes, obesity. 2 out of 3 are overweight or obese. It's atrocious.
But
And diabetes.
there's a trend. There's kind of an acceptance of addressing it with medication, which some people think they're healthy because they're controlling symptoms, but there are things that can go beyond that and can actually make you a healthier person.
The underlying factor. We need to
Yeah.
address the underlying causative factor rather than putting a Band-Aid over the issue.
So for 2018,
Yes.
let's each of us, in wherever we are on the continuum, on the timeline, on the wherever we are on the spectrum of health, fitness, and wellness, let's make a commitment to either recommit, stay committed, or to commit to eating right, to exercise, to getting enough sleep, and to being positive in your thoughts. Deborah,
Yes.
give us some closing thoughts.
You did a fantastic synopsis right there. I don't know what else to add. You basically addressed it all. But basically, definitely feel confident that you can take charge of your life. You can take charge of your health. And you don't have to feel like, I had my father, for example, he thought, because he was getting overweight, and he thought, I guess this is just the way that my body is. Do never, ever, ever accept that as your reality. That is not your reality. And you can make a change, and you don't have to feel like you have to deprive yourself to make that change. You don't have to go there. You can and still have what I call, my live it balance. You can still eat the foods you enjoy. And it's just learning about the balance. If dessert is your thing, you could have a dessert. Just have it as your carb. Have it with some grilled salmon and lots of vegetables. You have a balanced meal. So it's be real with yourself. Be real with your goals. Make goals for 2018 that are realistic and attainable, so you feel excited at the end of the year when you have accomplished them. And just basically focus on the little steps that you can do that makes a huge difference. Even just one change of trying to buy some organic fruit instead of always pesticides fruit will help you be healthier. That one change. And instead of buying Diet Coke as your drink of choice, have some organic green tea with a little soy milk and a little honey in it. It's fantastic. It's my favorite drink. Or just do some sparkling flavored waters instead of the diet sodas. But to get the caffeine, you're going to need some green tea. But you can just those little steps that you make it, bring your shoes, bring your workout clothes in your car. So you always have some workout clothes in your car, so you never have to have that as an excuse that you can go work out. And drink water. Keep sipping water throughout the day. A lot of times we think we're hungry, we're really dehydrated.
To add a little bit to what I said, and in keeping what you just said, I've worked out for quite a number of years, but in my early 50s, there was a spike in my body fat, and my health profile started to change in the wrong direction. I got on it pretty quick. I hired a trainer and recommitted and rebooted my fitness regimen. But it's not too late. Even if you're in your 50s, it's doable. The key is to have information, to know what you're doing, and to be proactive. A good start is Deb's book, The 200 Superfoods That Will Save Your Life. I humbly recommend my own book, Age Redefined. But Deb, tell us your social media contacts.
Yes, you can go to livitician.com. That's Livittic, as in cat, IAN.com. And you'll see my website there, and my email's on there.
RobertHenryFitness.com. You can find out more about me and also download a sample of my ebook and even order the ebook. It's also available on Amazon and other outlets, as your book is too.
Yes, available on Amazon.
Deb, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
I'd like to have another talk with you sometime to do this again.
Definitely. Look forward to it.
But
Cheering you all on.
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
Okay. And Happy New Year to all of you.
Optimal Health Path. You can do it.
Thanks for watching.